In the second half of the video, Mixing with the Masters, I want to show you where we take those puddles of color that we mixed in our last video, matching the colors of Willard Metcalf's unfolding buds. And we're going to use an alla prima or direct approach then to copy his painting. It won't be an exact copy, it'll be more about finding the color relationships by fitting one color value shape into the next, building it like a puzzle. I start the drawing with a very thinned out mixture of the purple-ish color that you see in the upper right of the palette, and the shapes are in and I'm ready to go. All right, so now I'm just going to mass in kind of the larger shapes. All the big puddles that I mixed on the palette, I'm going to start massing those in. Now, one thing, because I'm working on this white paper here, is right now I can almost treat it like a watercolor, where I'll just leave that area of the tree blank. If I try to mix back into it, it's going to be really hard. It'll because this green will not have had a chance to dry. So anything I put on that, any white that I put on it will mix into it. This lovely little cut right there. Definitely a little lighter in areas here where what I have. But I'm not concerned yet about the details. We get down those general shapes, and then we find what we need. Some of what's going on here in the back, and attach that. It may be slightly too dark and saturated, which is something I'm kind of getting right now. So I'm going to mix my palette, a little half step lighter and bluer. So when you make those initial puddles, they're a good, kind of start off, but you don't feel like you have to stick just with that. You do what works, that's all. No real magic in there except for that. Do what works, do what you see. Don't worry about what you think is right. It's actually that surprise that makes it so exciting. This roof has a little more red in it. Whoop, just lost the shape of my roof, but that's all right. I know some of you had mentioned that you liked the way that he connected the darks, and he did. It's just, they're absolutely gorgeous what he did. So I'm putting this area kind of behind these trees in a little thinner, because when I lay those trees in, I want it to mix with a little bit of the purple, but I don't want it to be as thick like as what I've laid in some of the other areas. This back here has a little more green in it, but it can't be intense. So I mix a little Viridian into the corner of the palette. All right. See, let's start laying in then. We'll get in our nice warm tone here that may be a little too dark. I think it is. So I'm going to pick up this yellow here, the yellow on the palette that I had already mixed down, because I don't want a brilliant orange, but I want something that's a little lighter, a little brighter. There we go. Okay. Now I'm not cleaning my brush. I'm keeping some of that orange on there so I can begin to come in here and mix some of what's going on here. I have to go lighter yet. So again, see how I'm constantly testing? What's nice, and let's see, I can lift this up and show it to you. It's like, for instance, I mixed this originally just a little too dark for what I need in some of those lighter areas. So I'm going a little lighter, a little more orange in it, but this got me there. This mixture got me there really quickly. I was able to compare, do an as compared to. To what the other mixture was. Oh, that's better. So one thing to note is, again, nothing will look right or set until kind of all the pieces are closed up. So right now all those big white spaces are throwing off your judgment if you're not used to it. The green gets slightly bluer in the background. It's just a slight difference. Again, I'll show you the palette. So here, it's just a little bluer than what's here. That should be enough to pop what I see back there. Start connecting the shapes, what's going on back here. Yes, I see there's a light spot there, but I'm not concerned about that yet. I want to make sort of as broad and specific or broad a statement as possible at first, and then I'll come in and finesse all the fun stuff. It definitely goes a little bluer right back here. It's interesting how the light in early spring actually really washes out color. It's a hard light to paint. That's part of the reason I'm so impressed with this painting of his. So again, I'm just going to get that in there a little scrubby bit. So I can work the trees on top of that. Put some of these lights back here. They can be lighter than, but they can't compete with this bush or this tree. Let's close this up down here. All right. So now I'm going to come in and lay in the sky. It's definitely kind of at its most saturated up here. And I'm going to leave out some little areas here for the clouds. With this type of painting, if I came in and just painted right over where the super lights are going to be, again, that would mix with what I had put on underneath. Scrubby with the trees. I'll be painting over them. And what I see is I see how it gets lighter and a little pinker, a little more red, heading towards blue as it goes to the horizon on the right side. So it's not where color is all the same. It's always changing. Oh, we're starting to get the relationship. That's nice. Nope, I have to go much lighter yet. And not quite so red as compared to. So I hope you can see with what I'm doing here why those words are so important. That's the same value. It needs to be lighter. The blue and the red are pretty strong saturated colors, so it's kind of hard to get them light enough and kind of still retain that vibrancy. Okay, so it's starting. It's getting there. All right, so let's find the relationships of those trees and actually letting this kind of blend in with the sky works for me here. And the trees aren't solid, and they have a lot of air and space in them, and up there he's painted the edges so beautifully. They're just so lovely. That may be a little too yellow, but again, what's nice with this is that by just painting it right on top, I'll be picking up some of that other color, which will just ish it right down. There we go. Oh, I have this on my palette. Do I see it anywhere else? Some of that is up in here. All right, and this gets to be a little bit of an ishy, green ishy tree up here. So I toss some permanent rose in with the green grass. I don't want it to be in your face, but I want it to be a little different. Whoops.
One of the most important words to use in painting.
Now that all of the big color masses are in, I can begin to knit the painting together, looking for the darks that connect, for the lights that sit on top of them, for areas where it's a color change and not a value change. So here I'm looking for the subtlety. I won't be able to refine the shapes as much as he has in his painting, but it's just about those relationships and looking for how I can keep that white blooming tree the star of the show.
And so there's the main supporting trunk. And I'll be coming back in here. Now here's the little companion tree, which starts, about right here. It's so easy to just line them up. And I'm going to put in the shadow now. Because that shadow is what sets it on the ground. Tells us where the sun is. Get slightly more yellowish to the edge. Oh, that's nice. When you add in the yellow, then it kind of talks to the rest of the painting. I know those of you who have had me before in workshops and in classes have heard me say that, and what I mean when I say that is that it's sharing the same light with everything around it. It's not separated out. So if that stayed just the flat white, it wouldn't look quite the same. All right, so there we go. I'm calling it done, and it definitely doesn't have the beauty and nuance of Metcalf's paintings, but it does begin to capture what was going on with his palette. I could take this a little further, but these kind of studies are actually really invaluable and a great way for you to take your color mixing to just a whole new level. By learning from the masters, they already figured it out before you. This is actually no different than mixing to a leaf, a rock, a paint swatch from the hardware. But the nice thing is that the other artist went and figured out the composition and the palette for you. There's a lot to learn from this, so have fun.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you would like more in-depth painting lessons, please visit my Patreon site, The Painter's Classroom, where for $5 a month, you get lessons in the form of videos, blogs, and handouts, plus you get your art questions answered. If you would like to see more of my work, learn about upcoming workshops, or read my blog, please visit my website, viannasabo.com. All the links are below. Thank you for watching.